Hello there everyone, it's Aaron here from Push Square with Craig Reed's review of Little Nightmares 3, so let's see if it's worth checking out in our PS5 review. Playing through Little Nightmares 3 feels like slipping back into a familiar dream. One longtime fans will recognise the moment it begins. Supermassive Games hasn't tried to reinvent the series in any wild way, opting instead to mirror the grotesque horror and endearing puzzles that have defined Little Nightmares from the start. This is also the first entry not crafted by Tarsier Studios, and will admit we had our doubts, especially with the Until Dawn developer introducing online-only co-op to the threequel. Not that it mattered, despite our best efforts, and we really did try, we never actually managed to play the game in co-op. Somehow, organising a session during the review period turned out to be the biggest puzzle of all, but honestly, going solo ended up being exactly what we wanted from the game. Little Nightmares 3 is a puzzle platformer where you play as either Lo or Alone, two itty-bitty best mates trying to find their way back home. Set in the spiral, an all-new cluster of disturbing locales, from a creepy carnival to a twisted candy factory, the game has you and your companion solving environmental puzzles and stealthily avoiding capture. By stepping away from the familiar sights and sounds of the Maw and Pale City, Supermassive raised eyebrows about diluting the very essence of what made Little Nightmares so memorable. Its connected, dark, and deeply unsettling universe. Concerns that feel a bit daft now that we've completed the game's 4 to 6 hour adventure. Twice as well. Unlike the first two games, which were split into 5 chapters, Little Nightmares 3 is divided into 4, with 2 DLC chapters planned for the future. Over the course of your journey, you'll creep through the corpse-lined necropolis, wade through the sticky lollipop pits of the candy factory, and sneak along some generic hallways of the Institute. Each chapter runs about an hour for first-time players, though the third, Carnival, stretches a little longer, a twisted roller coaster through rain-lashed tents and flickering lights. Supermassive Games clearly understands the aesthetic language of Little Nightmares, capturing that larger-than-life scale, tension and detail with aplomb. Yet beneath the spiral's fresh facades lies a strong sense of déjà vu. Many puzzles, sequences, and set pieces feel lifted straight from earlier games, leaving the world more familiar than frightening. In the opening hours, we even found ourselves evading the gaze of Necropolis's towering monster baby, a near carbon copy of the janitor's bucket puzzle from the original game. While we could talk at length about the game's new cast of horrid antagonists, and now would be the time to do so, we're hesitant to reveal too much. Supermassive's game strikes many of the same notes as its predecessors, and the least we can do is let you run in fear from its gross villains. Little Nightmares 3 looks and sounds exactly like a Little Nightmares game, as it should. The biggest shake-up is, of course, the focus on co-op, a first for the series. You'll lob shoes at out-of-reach buttons, crawl through claustrophobic wall vents, and at one point clamber over a magician's sawing box, which may or may not contain a severed human corpse, just to navigate the oversized world. With all the hallmarks and polish of a good platformer, it's simple enough to pull off, but you'll likely need a strong stomach to get through it. In the past, solo players did everything themselves, pushing boxes, pressing buttons, and smashing creepy doll children with an oversized wrench. Here, the head-crushing duties, among others, are split in 2, with little meaningful changes to the formula. You'll have to pick your preferred role from the start, choosing between 2 playable protagonists. As Lo, the raven-masked wanderer, you wield a bow capable of cutting ropes, shooting buttons, and taking the heads off of the same reused creepy doll children, the first step in a 2-part combo. For our playthrough, we went with Alone. Her bright red pigtails and oversized jumpsuit won us over. She carries a slightly less impressive wrench than in Little Nightmares 2, but can still smash through walls, activate mechanisms, and deliver step 2 by crushing the aforementioned doll's horrid little head to dust. Simply put, one can't progress without the other, a co-op platitude we wouldn't mind as much if Supermassive had introduced more variation in its puzzles. They're not bad by any stretch of an elongated arm, but we've faced these challenges before, only now we're whispering instructions to our partner to avoid being mauled by the same familiar foes, something that had left us unconvinced in our final preview of the game. Now remember, we played Little Nightmares 3 solo, which meant rolling the dice on an AI companion. It's always a bit of a gamble relying heavily on a bot to handle core tasks without driving you up the wall, being in the right spot, firing arrows at the nearest threat, and not spoiling the solution to a puzzle. Before our first playthrough, we hoped AI would behave like 6 in Little Nightmares 2, and to our delight, it actually did, letting us bark commands at low with minimal frustration. Sure, it reduces half the game's puzzle to the press of a button, and we were sad our little bot bud didn't want to play catch with us between scares, but we're glad Little Nightmares 3 has one of the good AIs at least. That said, if we can't have local co-op, the ability to swap between characters at each interval would have been a welcome feature for the single player purists. Now a final word on performance, we reviewed Little Nightmares 3 on a standard PS5, that's the footage you're watching here today, playing roughly 90% of the game in beauty mode for that extra pop of detail. That was just our preference and there's little visual difference between modes. However you choose to play though, the game runs smoothly from start to finish. Little Nightmares 3 is a nightmare worth having, even if you've dreamt it all before. Supermassive Games holds a mirror to the franchise, reflecting the series' charming horror, clever puzzles, and grotesque universe. But it plays it safe, adding little in the way of originality. Online co-op is the biggest change, but solo play remains the preferred experience. Overall, Little Nightmares 3 is unsettling enough to make your skin crawl, just not enough to wake you up. We're giving Little Nightmares 3 a 7 out of 10. Thanks so much everyone for checking out Craig's review of Little Nightmares 3. Will you be picking up the game now that it is available on PlayStation 5? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're there, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation video content just like this. Anyway, until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.